So, welcome to another little short tidbit on Ashes of Creation Alpha Mage Archetype today. Looking at how the basic abilities work and synergize together in real life, out in the world, farming mobs. Um, just kind of see how all the different ranks of each ability work. So I'm playing around with the talents. Thankfully, they've enabled us to be able to change and reset our talents on the fly, which allows for a lot better tasting. And of course, that is the purpose of Alpha 1. So this is just a basic look at the mage. These abilities may not make it even into game. They may all change. They may get edited. I anticipate that most of them will remain because I really like what they have so far, and I think each one has a really good purpose for the most part. Um, and they're very unique and different, each one, and it makes it really fun to play around with your toolkit since you do have the limitation of talent points. You can't take everything. So, and now I'm not level 15. Obviously, if you're looking at the bar down there, I'm between 7 and 8. So I don't have the full caveat of talents. I think I have 13 talents unlocked at this point. So now that was an example of utilizing some AOE with the slow, with the black hole ability, basically, I call it. And it also explodes after a few seconds, doing AOE damage. And the fire ability, AOE ability, does lots of damage. So you can do the slow, the fire ability, and then the lightning strike. It's a somewhat straight in front of you, maybe a 10-yard range, but it does have some width to it, so I think it's kind of a cone effect. And and then also with your blink ability, I have that on hotkey that I made T at the end of my toolbar there. For the blink, you can talent that up with two. Your second morph on that will allow you to do damage. And I looked at it, tested it. It's around, I think if it crits, it's around 100, 120 in damage when you exit the area and all mobs around you. So you could take advantage of setting down the AoEs, everything gathers around you, and then you blink away doing damage. And really the mana required for even these AoEs isn't too intensive. Now there I'm setting the black hole up. You're going to see the AoE in a second. Yeah, 163, 160. Also 3 points in the, I think it's Lava Storm, the ground AoE. Apologize if I'm calling it wrong. I don't have these all memorized. It has a 3rd-point talent that actually does a slow for everybody trapped in it. So, yeah. So the lava hit first, and then there's the ticks from that, and then there was the explosion from the black hole, which also is a slow. So I took out my fireball to max out the the AOE lava effect. So now I'm putting my fireball back in because that is, I believe it's 10-second cooldown. It does a lot of damage and it's very cheap on the mana. And then now I'm adding the second talent on the blink so I get the AOE. Yeah, the third talent on the fireball. Well, the second talent gives it more damage. The third ability, third talent point into it, allows it to tick and do damage over time. I was about to do a fireball there. I turned and canceled the motion and actually got out of the cast of it to go out of the way because I was going to get hit with their claw. And zap. Yeah, it's about 120, 125 damage, somewhere in that range. And now I'm doing an ability that also gives me mana and health back. It's on a timer. It's a 30-second cooldown, but if I talent it, it goes to 20 seconds on the third talent. The second point into that ability restores health as well as mana. So one talent in it is just mana. Now that is a targeted mana regen that costs mana but gives about 2.5 times the mana back. And you can talent it to give you an initial burst of 50 mana up front instead of just the ticks if you do all the points into it. And you can also put it on a teammate. A party member. So if your healer's low on mana, for once, the mage can actually help the healer. Unlike warlocks who health tap to tap out the mana of the healers in certain games. Not to be mentioned, but it's kind of nice that these classes have abilities to restore resources. And I like that they're keeping it simple and not having like energy and mana and rage and all these different things. But they're keeping everything just with... that was a nice blink away there for the kill. Just mana. Tanks, mana for the casters, mana for the clerics, and I'm sure the ranger will also have mana for their spells. I think it's going to make it a lot easier for them to balance and manage, and less things to turn the dials on. And with the passive abilities, there are some similarities between mage, cleric, and tank that we're testing right now, but those are 2-point talents that don't have anything to do with your spells or abilities. Well, actually they do, but they're not direct. It's the passives to the right there on the screen here. They all require 2 talent points, but you have ones that give you crit rate, more crit damage. With the cleric, you get more mana. With the tank, you get like block chance. With the mage, you get more damage just on your abilities, so you can just hype up. All 3 of them have the first tier as a mana regen. I'm not sure what percentage, if it's the same on all 3. On the one I just checked out was the tank tooltip that I was just playing on earlier, or actually last night before all the servers went down. And it is a 1% mana regen. All classes have a passive health regen that you can activate. The tank's tooltip on that is a 3% health regen per second. I'm not sure if that's the same on the cleric and the mage, but I know there is a health regen. Cleric also has 10% more healing done, and the mage, instead of that, they have 10% more damage. Really love that mana regen ability. And kind of as an aside, the sound effects that they're putting in for these abilities, even when you're harvesting and different things, I'm really loving what they're doing with the effects. The sounds you recognize when something's done, when you looted, when you're able to move. If you move too soon, you have to reloot, or you have to restart your gathering if you're chopping wood, or if you're harvesting something. It has that sound to let you know that you are finished and you can go ahead and move on. So I think fishing is the one that still has, you really got to be careful on that, because you've got the fish, it looks like everything's done, and if you pull away at the last second, you got another 20 seconds to go fishing to get your fish. So but for all of us that love fishing, it's nice and relaxing. Go find a beautiful setting and find some places, some little nodes there to fish at. Spawn points, I should say, not nodes. So that was a crafting cheat sheet of what I need to do to craft some things that I was putting on my main my notepad, which brings up the subject of crafting. I really like what they're doing with the three tiers of artisan. You have your gathering, your processing, and your crafting. Going to be anxious to see how it comes down in game, but they're very clear that if you want to be able to be the best gatherer, you need to focus on gathering only to get all your points into that. You can't gather and craft and be top tier at both. There's not going to be enough talents in those abilities to go around. And if you want to be the best crafter, you're going to have to focus on a specific thing to craft, and you won't be able to really gather much or process. So you're going to rely on other people to be the processors, and the time that's going to take to do crafting, you're not really going to have time to gather full time. So, people will be able to focus on what they really enjoy. And if you just want to dabble, you'll be able to do a little of each. Or have multiple characters. I'm assuming that you can give permissions on your homestead for your alt characters to go in. So you could have a character that you just enjoy. Maybe a ranger. You go out into the world and explore and harvest. Maybe arrange a rogue so that you can stealth when you need to not get ganked in PvP. So you can get back home okay. And then maybe you're a healer for the raids for your guild. So that's your main. But then you might have another tune that just does some animal husbandry or some light crafting or something. It'd be nice to be able to have some variety. For those of us that love playing alts, I know some people are only attached to one character and never play another character at all. I do not have that ability. I have tried to just be a single character, but at a certain point, I'm making an alt, or I'm going to a second server and making another character on that server to try something different. I just enjoy all the aspects and different gameplay. So I do actually anticipate that I probably will end up playing all 8 classes at some point during the game, just to see how they all work and matching the different 8 archetypes. So to get to 64 different, when you do your primary archetype and your secondary, to get those 64 subclasses. So that's going to be fun. Yeah. Wow. Massive fireball crit there. Doing the Drain Essence, as well as the Gift of the Magi, getting that mana back. Wands are just so nice, where you can do that range attack and move. And keep in mind, weapons are not exclusive to your archetype class. You could be a tank with a wand, and you can do some of your tank abilities with a wand. They're not relying, you're bashing and knocking and punching and knocking down whatever you charge, not necessarily with your weapon, but just with your animation. Like the block ability, it's an AOE block, but it's not, you can have a two-handed weapon equipped. Actually, you can have your wand equipped and still do the ability. But up close, you really want to have the two-hand for the massive damage, or a sword and board for the litigation. If you're going to sit in there and take damage, you would not want to be in the face of a mob trying to use your wand. But if you're almost dead and you're kiting an elite, and your ability is a charge and stun or on cooldown for your tank, switch to the wand. I've done it to get the last few bits of damage before an ability comes on, and then I just switch weapons. They don't actually have a way to switch weapons right now in the alpha, other than opening your bag and clicking on the weapon. So fortunately you can do that in combat. So you can actually respec in combat. I've been low on mana before and took an ability that I'm not going to use while I'm fighting a mob. In the middle of fighting the mob, reduce those points in there and put it back into, let's say, health regen or mana regen, or both, to continue on the fight. So there's the mana gen, and there's the increased damage. Critical hit. Yeah. Yeah, I wish I had 21 points or so to play with, but yeah. Yeah, I'm going for a damage field right there. 20% crit damage, 5 more points in crit, chance to crit, and more basic damage off the top. So my fireball is going to be pretty powerful, as well as the wand is going to definitely scale up a lot more damage. Yeah. I haven't crit yet with the fireball, but I hit like a 45 damage with one of my attacks with the wand. So, yeah, you definitely have to move around a lot in this game. If you're stationary, good luck. I guess if you want to be a cleric tanky healer, but you're definitely gonna get targeted down if you can't move around and time your dodge rolls or jump. It's just a cool effect on that Gift of the Magi, getting that mana regen. Like a little ice explosion in your hand. I think the video settings are on medium or high, but not ultra. So, not really having any lag. My computer, just one computer doing the streaming and the game, plus I have a ton of other windows open. So, and I have a decent computer, but it's not totally OP. 10th generation Pentium, quad core, I think, or something. And then video card is 1650 Pro, I believe. So for the hard drive, I do have the M.2, 1 terabyte. And I don't have your traditional drives at all. And I need to actually get a second M.2 so that I have some redundancy. I do keep it pretty cool in the house, so my computer isn't really overheating. I don't have air, or I have air. I just fan cooled. I don't have a water cooled on it. But I have good circulation in my case, so haven't had any issues at all. So.